We continue here. Poor access to quality of education at early childhood development centers continues to prevail in poor communities in the country. And concerns have been raised over insufficient funding for early childhood education programs. To unpack this is Dr. Jessica Ronaasen, the National Programs Lead from Do More Foundation. Dr. Ronaasen, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Firstly, your organization, the Do More Foundation, is advocating for increased business investment in early childhood development. Can you elaborate on why you believe businesses should play a more significant role in addressing the funding gaps in this critical area, particularly in light of the recent budget speech?
Sure. And good afternoon to all your listeners. It's lovely to be with you this afternoon. This is an issue that is too significant not to talk about. And so it's really great to be able to share some thoughts and ideas around it, particularly leading up to the elections when the topic is hot and we need action. So as you say, or as you speak of, the Do More Foundation has a priority around bringing together investment from the private sector and the corporate world, but we also partner with government. And I think what is significant is the idea that everyone should get to play when it comes to young children. This is not an exclusive playground. And in an underfunded sector, it's not up to one kind of group of people to invest in it. The children of the country are everyone's responsibility. And so, yes, corporate definitely have a role to play. And so do government, so do civil society. And as an ECD sector, there is a huge call in reaction to the budget speech to really see the sector and the issues that it carries for what it is.
I wanted to talk a bit more about the long-term socio-economic benefits of investing in ECDs, such as fostering a skilled workforce and also contributing to national prosperity. How can businesses then align their corporate interests with the societal benefits of ECD investment, and what incentives exist for them to do so?
Sure. So the ECD sector is a phenomenal opportunity for investment because over a long time horizon, any company, CSI initiative or corporate business will see benefits, dividends, return on investment in different ways because those children will outlive us. And I think that's the first point is that the GDP would be directly impacted by the workforce that those children carry in the future. Meaning, if we have poor education, poverty issues, malnutrition, poor working conditions and the cycle of poverty, we start to see again and again an inadequate workforce and our GDP struggles. And so investing in ECD is almost the no-brainer here because you have the opportunity to invest directly into education, equip individuals with the competencies to be able to hold jobs, finish schooling, read in some instances as granular as that. And then we can start to advocate around why quality education is important. We're not just asking for any education. We want to call for quality education in our country. And that comes down to working conditions of the teachers, their salaries, and the current situation, not only the future. And so that's where the investment opportunity is now for business and for the corporate and public sector to see now as the time. We can't wait. Inaction will have consequences.
Let's expand on that point. The collective impact model, as exemplified by initiatives like the Everyone Gets to Play program, it really emphasizes the collaboration among various stakeholders, including businesses, NGOs, and communities. From your experience, what are the key challenges and also opportunities in really mobilizing such diverse groups towards a common goal in the context of ECDs?
For sure. I think we see time and time again in various sectors that addressing complex issues requires complex solutions. There's not a one-size-fits-all model to solve the education crisis in our country, to solve poverty, unemployment, joblessness. All these issues that we have in our country are complex, and so it takes everybody to address them. What we've seen come out of collaborative efforts is that ability to leverage strengths. Not everyone has to be able to be good or excellent in everything. And so what's been phenomenal to see is in targeted areas where we've broken down the silos, we have called for collaboration and and seen phenomenal movements change the way that ecosystems work around young children, because young children need advocating for. They don't have a voice when it comes to systems, and systems change. They're not the ones sitting in parliament. And so who is going to talk for them? Who is going to be the ones who say 17 Rand per child per day for 6 years in a row is inadequate? Who is the person who's going to say that? And I think that's where bringing all stakeholders together, right from Department of Agriculture through to education, health, social development, and your businesses, creates that opportunity to leverage strengths and assets and resources.
Quite right. There's also the mention of successful multi-sectoral collaborative models in other emerging countries, such as the Aga Khan Foundation's Madrasa Early Childhood Program. What lessons can South Africa learn from these international examples in terms of leveraging business and philanthropic investment for ECD initiatives?
Sure. I think, again, it talks to the collaborative models and communication. This is not about holding on tightly to your piece of the pie. And in other countries where we do see success, it's largely because the collective is willing to share space, resources, to really give their part for young children, not seeing it as a kind of territorial race or that it's only up to government, because unfortunately, there are too many children and the need is too great, and government have a lot to do. And so we need to allocate responsibility and allow it to be a shared collective operation. So there are amazing initiatives that are calling for that collaborative effort, and we're seeing wonderful results in the participation. That breaking down of silos also allows for expertise exchange, which I think is significant, and trust building. Your point around opportunities. Long gone is the time where we distrust each other. We're in a new society, a new democracy. We need to be moving forward, and that's going to take trust in our country. And in education, we're starting to see the benefits of that.
Dr. Ronaasen, one of the key issues highlighted is the stagnation of ECD subsidies at just 17 Rand per child, like you said, per day for 6 consecutive years. In your view, what are specific policy reforms or advocacy efforts which are needed to really address this funding shortfall, but also ensure adequate support for ECD programs?
Sure. Being a part of the Real Reform for ECD has been hugely insightful on this specific topic, because there are a number of organizations working day in and day out to really look at what it's going to take to get young children quality and access. And that conversation links to the costing model. To have 6 years in a row of no increase makes no sense, because, and your viewers will probably be nodding away, if you think about it from a business management perspective, very few things stay the same price for 6 years. I think about my own budget, and your listeners will be thinking about their cost of food. Cost of living has gone up by 39% on average across the country over the last 6 years. So how is it that children haven't been allocated the same generosity, but logic of we now need to be increasing this cost, because otherwise something gives. And so we're expecting out of that 17 Rand per child per day of school days that they go to school, we're expecting nutrition, we're expecting a salary for the teacher, infrastructure support, as well as learning materials. And that's quite a humbling list if you consider in real terms how much you would get for your child. I don't even know if you'd be able to tick a few off. And that's where we're seeing the issues linking to malnutrition in our country only expedited by the low subsidy. And then it becomes difficult to provide quality. So while the sector is calling for quality, the budget allocation has not enabled that. And that's where these movements have really called for a review of this. And we have to be talking about the injustice of inflation not being considered when it comes to the ECD subsidy for programs.
Another layer to the conversation, you've underscored the role of businesses in utilizing their corporate social investment spend to support some of these ECD initiatives. Could you provide examples of successful partnerships between businesses and ECD programs, and how these collaborations have made a tangible impact on children's development?
Sure. So we see a number of these play out across the country. We have national programs in about 8 targeted communities where local businesses within that community are investing in the work within that community. And the reason for that is because you have that shared value exchange. It is that opportunity for business. Businesses are also interested in a tax benefit of some kind, and so the government incentivizes business to get involved with philanthropic work. What we're seeing is really successful ongoing partnerships, so not just once-off ad hoc projects, but really intentional impactful work with a strategy. That's not just 1 or 2 years, that's 3 to 5 years and beyond. And that's really calling business to think strategically, not only about its business operations, but its social investment and its purpose within a community. Dumel Foundation is founded on RCL Foods, and so we're seeing founded by RCL Foods, and so we're seeing really phenomenal support from that specific corporate, but that's not the only corporate that's doing good work for young children. And again, to the idea of everyone getting to play, it's almost less about the name and more about the collective, and we're seeing that play out time and time again.
But given the urgency of the situation, what concrete steps can businesses take immediately to contribute to ECD efforts in the country? Are there specific areas or regions where the investment could have the most significant impact?
Sure. So there are some real quick wins, particularly with regards to nutrition education. There's also some quick wins in terms of investing into inadequate infrastructure, because infrastructure barriers are preventing ECD centers from gaining access to registration, and as a result are unable to access the subsidy. We're also seeing early learning materials and resources that in resource scarce communities is just underfunded. And so again, those are the quick wins. And business, what we found is the conversation with business is really easy when the business begins to see the value of the program and project. And there are phenomenal projects across the country. The nonprofit sector is doing amazing work and partnering with government. And I think that collaboration is really essential, and we utilize the National Integrated ECD policy to guide a number of those programs so that we are talking to government and not working in silos. I think teacher qualifications is another area where businesses can get behind the training and the professionalization side of getting teachers trained. I think that could also be huge in terms of bridging the gap and ticking off some quick investment wins while also receiving their CSI benefits, which we know corporates are also looking for. The reporting and monitoring evaluation side of that is also significant. And so partnering with a accountable partner is essential too. And I think that's part of the trust building process that we've been on.